Well, hey there. Welcome to Real WW Talk. I'm Erin.
I'm Candice.
And I'm Rikki.
Ladies.
Hello.
It's good to see you.
It's
You
spring.
too.
I'm so happy it's spring. I don't know if I said that the last time, but like winter was like, ugh, I'm so happy for warmer weather.
It's like,
Me too.
I feel like it's though Maryland spring is like, I feel like we're kind of in false spring, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like,
Have you seen that calendar that does that and it has like 15 seasons and it's like
Yes.
second winter, third winter, first
Yes.
spring, you know, you keep going back and forth. Yes.
Although 2 weeks ago, I don't know about you guys, like 2 weeks ago, I had pollen.
Yeah.
Have you noticed pollen?
Yeah.
Oh, my allergies started back up. It was terrible. I mean, I think I'm kind of used to getting that building up again, but yeah, I was with you.
Yeah.
That's why I'm more of a fall girl. Like, I mean, if when you have these in between seasons, like I'd prefer fall over spring, but you know, I'll take spring.
Yeah.
But
I've had to go
growing and pollinating, like you said.
I went and had to go pull out what's my like natural allergy medicine, which it's nettle and CoQ10 and some other things in it. And I'm like, this is too early. It's too early to bring this business out. Man. Gosh. Do you guys find yourself in spring like moving indoors for activity? Or not you, Rikki? We know you. Rikki does not like outdoor activity.
Yeah.
Not typically. I mean, I like a good walk.
I do like a good walk.
Yes.
Have you been doing that, or do you like relocate inside during allergy season?
I mean, if I remember to take my nasal spray in the morning, I'm usually good. I went through an allergy regimen. It was 5 or 6 years of shots. So I don't have the same reaction of like waking up, sneezing 10 times, runny nose all day typically. But if I don't take it, I will at least have a little runny nose, a couple sneezes. But if I take that, I'm pretty good to go. It's more like when the bugs come out, like that'll help decide. Because if I know I'm going to be chased by a cicada or the bumblebee, then it's a different choice.
That's real. The bugs. Yeah. But I tend to like to be outside only because I do like to get the walks in and stuff. And I've been blessed, and I will say it is a blessing. My husband suffers with the allergies a lot. Like I am not one that's usually very impacted. Knock on all the things. So that's the only reason why I do like to get outside as much as I can for the vitamin D, you know?
Yeah, that's me. Same thing. And there's just something about being outside in the fresh air and the trees. I know other people, the more I say that, it like just stacks on their no, right?
Like, no.
I'm like compounding yeses for me. But I always have a Kleenex in my pocket, winter, no matter where, because I know my nose is going to run. That's just, it's happening. It's happening.
You got to choose like fresh air, nose running, whatever.
What's it going to be? So last week, and Candice, thank you for reminding us of this email. Last week, we talked about Caitlin, who popped over to the Real WW Talk Facebook group, which you are invited to join. Just search Real WW Talk on Facebook. She's new. She has about 55 points a day to use and has been struggling to use her points. And then Candice reminded us that we have an email from Alison that Alison sent, I think, back in January with this question. And I thought, ooh, this would dovetail nicely on what we just talked about last week and would be fun for discussion. She said, could you just tell me what you guys eat through the day? I have been intuitively listening to my body, and I seem to always be hungry between 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. When I don't plan enough to eat in the first half of the day, I am out of control in the second half. And what I logically plan and think is enough never is. How do you appropriately plan your food for something like this? It completely wears out my willpower, and I'm stuck in a 1 step forward, 2 steps back cycle. Feel that. I feel it. Feel you.
Yeah. When she said it, I can relate to that so much. And the one thing that I have changed, I would say fairly recently, I'd heard people say it. I had never truly embraced it, but prioritizing protein for me in the mornings has been key. And
Yeah.
a day, but like me starting out and I do like eggs. But if you don't, you can substitute. But I a big veggie scramble for me has been life changing, where I'll throw in red peppers, the red bell peppers, onion, even potatoes, like a few sweet potatoes or regular white potato, spinach, mushroom, and egg. Put in like 2 eggs and scramble it with some cheese if you want to put some cheese in it.
That sounds so good.
Having that in the morning, and it doesn't take very long. I mean, the bigger thing is if you're going to do something like the potato. If you take potato out, potatoes can take a little longer to cook. Just the veggies themselves. I know Aaron's like, no, it doesn't. No.
No. I was going to say you could dice up vegetables and you could roast those at the beginning of the week. And then they're already cooked. And now you're just reheating them inside of your scramble.
Well, there's that, which I will definitely do for the next week, but doing that. And then also like the egg casseroles, like making it into like a casserole, and having little portions. I have been swearing by that as a way to keep me fuller and to make better choices throughout the day.
Can I ask you a question on eggs? Because I went to Aldi, and like when Aldi has their eggs are $6, I'm like,
Wow.
Have you, because prices always fluctuate and have through history fluctuated through things. This is a little bit more of a fluctuation than normal, right? But has anybody started changing up their breakfast because that you're used to having eggs and you're like, well, no, I'm not doing that? Because it's at this point, eggs are like the price of a pound of ground beef or eggs. Have you changed any of that, or are you like, you know what, I'll pay it for eggs, or I pay it for chicken, I pay it for beef, I'm going to pay it for eggs, and that's what I'm doing for breakfast?
I'm not a big eggs person. I find that when I buy them, it's for a recipe or something.
Okay.
And the last time I bought them, I did make an egg scramble kind of thing and froze it, but I got the carton of egg whites. Because I find that it's just simpler and I can mix everything together and it takes away one of the steps, especially if you don't like touch it. I don't mind touching the egg, but it's separating it and doing all that. Like, it is a lot if you're trying to just get the egg whites. And then, if you're not using the yolk, it can feel wasteful, especially if they're as expensive as they are. So I found that, I don't remember how it compared in price, but I feel like it was equitable, if not a little bit cheaper, to just do the carton of the egg whites, because it lasts you a while. It's not like it's equivalent to the small, like 6-pack of eggs. It's, it lasts a while.
Yeah.
And we're willing to, and we are an egg family. And so
you're like,
because and we do our best to like, and not that it's like, and it's a little cheaper, but like Costco, if we can go to some of like the bigger places, because you can get like a bigger carton and it's a little cheaper. But yeah, the prices have gone up. And so, but for what we want to do, my husband, I don't think he could handle it if we didn't have eggs.
Yeah.
But we have thought about the liquid, like what Rikki was talking about.
Yeah.
But because I think there's ways to substitute it. But because I've been so obsessed with these veggie scrambles that I'm like, I'll probably get tired of it soon, but I'm not tired of it yet.
No.
And Trader Joe's has those really good egg cups. And I think they have different versions of them. They're like egg white, and then they have the other ones you have to watch the points on if you're trying to keep your points low in the morning. But the egg
is that
white,
the sous vide, like the sous vide egg cups?
Yeah.
Or okay.
They come in a pack of 2. So they are like $3 or so, I think.
So you've tried them? They're good?
Yeah, I really like them. I like the kale one. They only have one like flavor combination if you like.
They're kind of like the Starbucks knockoff ones, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I enjoy them. And for me, again, because I'm not a big eggs person, I might get a couple of them for the week and then, do yogurt or something else. But I really like those because they're already done. You just pop them in the microwave for, I think it's 30 or 60 seconds, and then they're very flavorful.
What about you, Aaron?
Well, it's funny that you say too, like focusing on the protein in the morning. I remember a conversation that we had I don't know. I think this was back when like all the GLP-1s kind of debuted, and there was all kinds of, research and things about the GLP-1s. But I remember somewhere in the conversation, it came up nature's GLP-1, focusing on nature's GLP-1. And it does create, it does cause a mind shift. But it's reducing. So, to Alison's point of always feeling hungry, the more of the ultra processed, all food is processed, but the ultra processed food, reducing that and increasing the fruits, the vegetables, the protein, sweet potatoes, because you're increasing the fiber and you're increasing the things that our bodies automatically, like they know how to process. I have found that my cravings for things have been reduced significantly. And this is coming from, remember the person who was doing, donut sobriety, right? Like I can't even touch a donut. I don't even think about it now, but that's because so for breakfast, really similar to you, Candice, that I'm doing some kind of heavier protein option and I'm including the vegetables in it. So this past week I made chili, and I had, riced cauliflower in with the chili. So I got the vegetable hit with the chili. And if I don't do the riced cauliflower, then I'll cook a small sweet potato and I'll have the chili over top of the small sweet potato, because then I'm getting the healthy carbohydrate in there there's lots of protein in chili and it's savory. And Rikki, I think we talked about this like 2 weeks or so. It's the, what is it? The sweet heat, Fireball.
Oh, yes.
Fireball has a sweet heat chili packet that I think works great as a breakfast because you get that cinnamon with a touch of the heat. Candice, I think you'd really like this.
Okay.
I think you'd like it.
I missed this.
Did you ever have shots of Fireball in your drinking years? Okay.
Do you like cinnamon?
Yeah.
Okay. I think you're in. I think you're in for this one.
Yeah.
But when she says cinnamon, she means like those Red Hots or like the Big Red.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Candice is in. Oh, Big Red. I forgot about that.
Oh, man. Memories.
Never.
Yeah, Candice, I think you'd be in for it. And I found the packet at Walmart.
Okay.
So it's Fireball's chili mix, sweet heat chili mix. Just a warning for somebody, because Fireball obviously is a liquor. So for somebody who's practicing sobriety, and this is something that could trip them up, they do have like a powdered whiskey in it. There's no alcohol. So it does say there's no alcohol in there, but it does have like a powdered whiskey, I guess that's like a flavoring ingredient. So just want to make sure anybody who's practicing sobriety that you would know that. But yeah, that for me, that's a really filling breakfast. That could also be a lunch.
Yeah.
But that's what I've been focusing on breakfast. And I'm good to go until lunch for sure.
And that's what I was going to ask you next is, to kind of also discuss her question is timing of meals. Like one of the things that I've been also focused on is challenging myself to eat more frequently. Like not because I used to be one who would let really long like spans of time go in between. And maybe because I wasn't necessarily hungry, but adding in a few snacks, like maybe a few hours after, even if I'm not eating because I'm not hungry, but just some nuts or some cheese or something like that. Like I said, another protein that maybe is with an apple, like that to me has been helpful too, is timing the meals and eating more frequently, but maybe not as large of a portion, because what I find if I have too many stretches of time, it can be problematic. Do you all find similar? Have you done something like that?
Well, I tend to eat breakfast when I get to work. I find that if I don't tend to be hungry when I'm getting ready for work, and I don't necessarily give myself time to eat at home. So that kind of limits what I can have, and I then take it to work. But I tend to have yogurt, and I tend to like those higher protein things, or something like those egg cups that I shared. And then, lunch is a little later for me, like 12:30, but in between, I do find that, sometimes it helps to have an option of a snack, like a piece of fruit and apple, or like a cheese wedge or something. And I think the timing of that is really helpful, to pop that in the middle. And then again, after lunch and between lunch and dinner, having another snack option, timed around, like, for me, like three-ish, I feel like is like a good time, because it's a few hours away from dinner, a few hours away from lunch. And I know that if I have that, I'm going to be satiated until dinner.
And that's my danger time. So I really love that you
Mhm.
said that, like 3 o'clock kind of like time frame. I have to be very careful because I can be hit with like sabotagey kind of behaviors. So making sure that I plan for that is key.
I call 3 o'clock my emotional food hour,
Yeah.
meaning my brain wants a break. And I think also where I am in the workday,
Mm.
like I'm at this stage of like winding down the workday, and I still have another, 2 hours to go. And so it's like I feel like I need something to get me through the hump. And so usually what I'll do is I will make that 3 o'clock, like 2:30-ish, 3 o'clock, decaf coffee. There's something for me that is satisfying about having a black decaf coffee or a tea, making tea at that point and being able, it's like I just need to get up and move and do a little something. And then if I need an apple or, like a little nosh with it. But I find that generally it's less, I've identified for me that it's less about the food, because I'm actually still full from lunch, and it's more about I need the mental break, and having that warm drink or a drink of some kind achieves that for me.
And I know I have some flexibility in my day that, in terms of how I can structure it, but I have also used that time to change it to getting in some of like my afternoon walk, around that time, like maybe changing the scenery, because like you said, sometimes it's really not that I'm hungry. And drinking enough water has also been really important, because a lot of times if I'm dehydrated or I'm not having as much water as I should, kind of confuse, is it hunger or am I really thirsty,
Yeah.
And especially if you're drinking things that can dehydrate you, like sometimes the coffees and the stuff, making sure I'm getting in water first, is really key.
Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned the scenery, because again, if you're in a place where, and if you're a visual person and there's things that are just sitting out, I think it's easy to think, oh yeah, I'm hungry, I could eat that. But is it hunger, or is it just because I saw it? Like, would I have eaten, Girl Scout cookies if I hadn't seen them on the table in the staff lounge? And on top of that, stress. It's kind of a stressful time of year. I know, I'm feeling for all the people who are in government jobs, who are, facing job loss and things like that. But in the world of education, we're, finding out about staff getting cut and things like that. And kind of the day-to-day is unpredictable, because we already feel like we don't have enough support, and we're thinking about next year. I know that was a sidebar, but stress at work can really impact what we think. I know, like Erin, you say that emotional hour, there's like emotions that pop up through the day. It might even be at 10 o'clock and you're like, I didn't expect to feel this way. There's candy there. Maybe 5 minutes ago I wouldn't have chosen that, but right now I am, because I want to feel something different than the stress. And that's where that emotional piece comes in. So what do you guys do when you're facing that during the day?
Well, so I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I think in addition to, Allison's talking about, there's the real thing. If I don't make a plan in the morning, well, of course I'm going to be out of control in the afternoon, because there is no plan, right? So that automatically means out of control if there's no plan with it. But there are the intangible things that go along with it. And we know body-wise that when we're hit with stress, through pattern, our body knows our pattern, that when we are stressed, I go eat this. And so it'll immediately call that to mind. But then there's the physiological part of stress that we instantly, our body, the cortisol, it wants fat right? It wants fat because it wants to then hold, because it's recognizing that something's wrong. And so it's now calling for the nutrients it feels that it needs at that moment to make it through stress. And so that's why oftentimes we're craving salty, we're craving fat, we're craving all of those things together. I mean, do you guys notice that about yourselves when stress hits?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can tell when there's a stress response, like you said, based on the types of things that I want to take in the moment.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm like, gosh, I really want a really nice salad,
Right.
that has some great grilled chicken on it and a lot of little. I'm like, I want French fries from McDonald's, or I want a honey bun, or I want this. And it's something immediate, and it's something that's going to give me a quick hit. And, it's like I said, like an addict. Like I that's how I feel. It's like, I just need a quick hit of something that is going to make me feel euphoric for a moment.
And do you find that, like, I don't know if this is a unique thing to a school because there's so many women, but sometimes if somebody can tell you're stressed, for like, do you want some chocolate? like I don't know if that's happened to you guys, but like people will will prompt that out of you too, and well-meaning people, or like, because sometimes you don't know how to make someone else feel better, right? And right, yeah.
And I think that we have to really understand that when that happens, when we have those moments, like I have been that person in the past, like, and I don't know if it's because I'm like, I know what has made me feel better. I'm just trying to make you feel better. But it's harder. And when I do recognize that, it can be a little tough, like to intentionally say, I'm not going to do something that my brain has been wired to do in this moment. Because I've, a lot of the things, that's what my therapist loves to tell me. She's like, you created these pathways, like, because this is how you've responded in the past. So your brain's on autopilot. I'm upset. Give me some chocolate. I'm upset. I want a Frappuccino, whatever it is. So being able to stop and say, you know what, I'm going to listen to my Calm app, which is something that I kind of did a lot, especially when I was going through really high stressful times going through cancer. Like I was big on the 5-minute meditations, or just breathing, staying with my breath, which sounds so hokey, but like in the moment, sometimes that's food. If food isn't really the answer, it's really more that I need to settle all of this.
If hunger isn't the problem, food isn't the solution.
And it sounds so like, if we say it, but it's true. It's true. And if I were, again, my therapist, she said, when you put on that voice and you make fun of it, she said, what that means is that you're actually not truly embracing it as a technique. And so she said, while it may sound hokey, why don't you, it's not working for you doing it the other way. Why don't you actually give it a try? Turn off the lights in your office for 5 minutes and put on, go to YouTube. So you don't even have to have the Calm app. And they have meditations or just something to help you with your breathing there, and see how you feel, after you've tried to release, or go for that 5-minute walk, something like that, and then see if it's helped. And most likely after that time, I'm not as impulsive, because it's usually impulsivity that gets me. I see it, I want it, or I'm upset and I just want to make myself feel better.
I think also along those lines, I'm just going back to Alison's comment. She's saying, I'm intuitive listening, but I always seem to be hungry between the 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., planning enough, planning food, etc. I think there's one other space that's in there, that when we're talking about the planning the food and always hungry, and it's particular for women. I don't think we've ever actually discussed this, but where you are in your cycle, that is a real thing, because when your estrogen is rising and falling, that impacts your hunger levels, or what your body feels that you need in terms of input and output. There are certain weeks where your body is going to be, it wants iron, it wants magnesium, it wants these other things. And the way that it might be expressing it could be through, I want chocolate. Well, there's magnesium in chocolate. There's iron actually in chocolate, but there are better sources to get that from, that have less of a glycemic load, or things that then increase hunger elsewhere. So I think that's important. What are your thoughts on that? Do you guys notice your hunger rising and falling, based on different weeks?
I feel bad because I'm not able to kind of discuss as much with that as I used to, because being put, and I mean that like not trying to be funny,
Right.
but because I've been put into like I have not experienced medically induced a lot of the changes that were associated with cycles, but I know that has been something where, especially like pre-week or pre-med,
Right.
you have to be mindful of the fact that is time where you're just a little hungrier,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I have experienced that in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I know that was a huge issue for me because, for me, I blew up my uterus last year. I'm coming up on my 1-year anniversary of frying that bad boy.
That.
Which, side
Guess
note,
what I did last year?
I just want to say, what did I have?
Is it June?
Endometrial ablation.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're getting real up in this biz today. We're way up in it.
Yeah.
I just want to put it out there. If your doctor has put a hysterectomy on the table, look at an endometrial ablation, bring that up. Life-changing, literally life-changing. But I no longer have the crazy rise and falls that I was having before. And I could plan out my weeks and go, okay, well, this week is going to be great. I can have salads. I'm going to be satisfied, right? I'm going to have grilled chicken. I'm going to have kale Caesar salad, and I'm going to feel fabulous and fun and vibrant. And then week 3, I'm going to need root vegetables and chicken thighs and and then week 4, like, okay, I'm going to need steak. I need ground beef. And then I'm going to need, and I need to plan desserts. I need to plan sweet things because otherwise I'm just going to be grabbing at stuff. So I think that is part to look at where, for a woman, where the cycle rises and falls, that determines food. And then there's no shame around that. Plan your food according to that time.
Yeah. But something you just said, that's a key word, plan. And I'm wondering for Alison, that it may be important. Maybe you could pre-plan a day or two, and just kind of, because sometimes when you're caught off guard, like you're making decisions in the moment, it can be a little more difficult. I found weeks that I have done some pre-tracking, and the next day had the plan ready in front of me, that where I'm not thinking on the fly. I'm like, okay, I'm really going to think about what I'm going to have for breakfast. I'm going to put this out here, and I'm going to make sure I have all the ingredients and do all that. You may notice, what actually works for your body because you're having more time to plan, so I think planning is key. And what do they say? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yeah.
Maybe just a few days or 1 or 2.
It kind of even goes back to what we've, Candice, what we've talked about for a long time, is get curious.
Yeah, just get curious about it. Yeah.
Get curious about it. Like, okay, if I plan these meals and I'm still hungry here, let's assess, what is it about these meals? And this week, did I have more stress in this week? Did I not get in good enough sleep? Because sleep also impacts hunger levels. How is my water? Where does this fall in my cycle? Could it be that I just need, based on this is good food, but if I move it here versus here, that's what we like. There's so much we think it's just food, but like the more that we learn about how intricate our body is, and how it responds to things, like I know now I need to have a good carbohydrate at every meal. So I am either making quinoa or a potato, sweet potato, the lentils. There's something that's good. And that's when I focus on those things, then I'm not hungry as much.
And I think that maybe we can just accept, I think that's another piece of this too. Sometimes it's just really not that deep. Like sometimes it really is just that simple.
Yeah.
Whole foods, more protein, this, like, I think not overcomplicating it. And sometimes we think too, because I think that's something I tend to do. It's like, well, what does it mean? Why? And maybe you just need more protein. Maybe you just need to eat are you getting in your servings of fruits and veggies?
Mhm.
Are you having that fiber? And if your diet's a little more clean than
Right.
not, if you're having a little more of the things that are convenience. And if it is, and you don't want to change it because it works for you,
Mhm.
then maybe, like I said, it's a trade-off.
Yeah.
You choose what's important in the moment.
There's another part too. When Allison's email came into us, that was in January. They hadn't made the change over to macros, and she could be she could be doing all the right things and be under eating because she's doing it according, like what I experience. I'm doing all the right things, but I have been under eating for a very long time, and I just needed to increase the servings because I was only eating 800 calories a day. I'm a 6 foot tall woman.
Yeah.
That's not enough. Even if I was a 5 foot tall woman, that's not enough.
But I feel like that was life changing for you to know that, because
so much.
Listen, Erin doesn't just randomly text throughout the day. When that hit her, Rikki and I got a text like, "Hey, I am letting you know I have been under eating, and it is not my fault." And it could be, that's a beautiful thing to be able to have that, think like a scientist, and to think really, really deep, and to say, hey, it wasn't just this nutrient, me having that, not having all the calories really was affecting me. And you're right. It could be that's what you were doing.
Yeah. They know when they get a text. I don't text during the workday. When I'm at work, I'm at work. I don't, so if they get something during the workday, it's like, oh, what's wrong?
I'm like, where are we go? Rikki, we got to go over there. Something's up.
Intercession time.
Calories. It was the calories.
But I think also balancing that information with knowing what you like, because I find that I can say, oh, I know I need these macros and I need this and I need that. But if I'm, like it goes back to what we said, I think either earlier in this episode or last week, but like you can't do someone else's day and expect to be happy with it if you don't like the same things that they like and if your body is different. So if I don't like kale and Susie told me to eat kale because it's healthy and it's a good source of this, okay, that's great, I could try it. But if I don't like it, maybe I need to find another source of fiber and those other vitamins and nutrients, because I find that if I'm like making myself eat things that I don't like, I'm not going to eat all of it, and then I'll be hungry later.
Right.
And then you're sad.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like nobody
you hear the stuff that we said and you don't like eggs and you like, that was a horrible suggestion. There's so many other protein sources that you can have. I mean, like you said, we're really just saying make it your own, but see where you may feel, what is the thing that may be causing you to feel deficient, and like you said, getting curious. Because I think that you'll probably figure it out pretty quickly. Maybe once you do really look at your journal and put it in now that we do have that macro information. I'd be really interested to know.
Yeah, for sure. Well, ladies, this has been a good conversation.
Oh yeah,
I've enjoyed this. Allison, thank you. Thank you for the question. Thanks for asking our thoughts on that. You know how we love to dissect stuff. Let's see. We've got some people to thank. Ladies, we need to come up with a name. We need to come up with a name for this. But Karen, Halsey, Carol, and Carrie all coming up on their 1 year anniversary of being Real WW Talk monthly supporters.
Our annual all-stars.
I like that. Let's go with that.
Nice. Yeah.
I had to come up with something. I was like, hold on.
The Bravo fingers. We got all, we haven't done Bravo fingers in a while.
I know. It's going to kill us because we do have these beautiful, beautiful gloves that our coach gave us. Yes.
We should do a non-scale victory episode. We've done one of those in a while.
Yeah. I think it's time to give out some Bravo stars.
Yeah. I agree.
Yep.
I think so. Well, all of our Bravo stars right now are going out to those fabulous folks. So thank you so much for supporting the podcast. If you want to join in, so a year from now, we're going to be shouting you out. You can just find inside the show notes, you'll see the link for supporters. There's both monthly support and there's, if you're like, hey, I don't want to do monthly or I can't do monthly, but I'd love to do, send you guys a little something one time. We've got Candice has made that available. Candice is Candice is it sounds crass to say the money person. I don't mean that.
What do you mean?
You know what I mean? But everybody, all three of us have our gifts.
Yes.
Okay. That is 100% not my gift.
Me neither.
Candice is the budget queen, and she makes sure that Candice really does make sure that this podcast happens and that we can afford it.
Otherwise, it's like, it's been lovely talking to you. Let's go back to the parking lot.
Right. Exactly. So
If you don't hear us, it's because we ran out of money.
that's it. That's what happened. We're like, it's gone. It's gone. So, yeah. So thank you. Hey, the advertisements that you hear that come through, like we've tried for the first 3 years, we paid for all of it on our own. It's not cheap. It's a labor of love. It's something we want to do, but we can't do that anymore. We still put our own into it, but yes. So all that to say, hey, when you hear those advertisements, click on it. Click on it. That would be amazing, because then we get a little something back, and then they see, hey, there's people interested in it. So
if you're watching us on YouTube, don't skip the ad,
yeah, don't skip the ad, please.
We'll be here after it's over.
That's right. You're like, hey, I can't do the monthly stuff, but I could not skip an ad. That's awesome. I got 30 seconds.
Thank you.
Anyway, all that to say, thank you. We greatly appreciate. We appreciate you. Love to invite you into the Real WW Talk Facebook community. We're also on Instagram, as Candice mentioned, YouTube, and then podcast.
Yeah.
You can pop us in your pocket and go for a walk, especially since it's springtime.
And we're in our Sorry.
If you have an elliptical at home, you can do that too. Anyway, good stuff. We hope you have a great week, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.